I mean, that's terrible. I did it all for just to make a buck. Ryan Miller.
Well, look, I wrote that song a long time ago. I was young and foolish.
Yeah. I mean, I could have played one of the other ones. I just didn't realize the wording in there was.
Well, that song is all about not being prepared to let go of the blessings that have been bestowed upon me. So that's.
And well, I would hope so. Sean in Clinton. Guys, kind of a light turnout so far in my precinct this morning. Hopefully it'll pick up, and we're getting that from a lot of people. Thank goodness this audience is the most likely to go vote, and that's why we encourage them to do so, because they're more powerful than ever, Ryan, because when you have less people out there, the people who do vote matter.
Oh, very much so.
Let me introduce Dr. Courtney Taylor. Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Good morning, Paul. I'm doing great. How about you?
I am enthused, excited. Now, first of all, what transpired here? Let me know the inside stuff that was going on. I mean, are you headed to Washington or moving overseas?
No,
what's going on with you?
Basically, my teammates in the office had gotten tired of my dad jokes and told me I needed to start.
Well, that happened on day 2, though.
Well, that's good. And closes doors that no man can open, and he opened an opportunity for me and my family to return back home to Oxford in the foreseeable future to serve in a new capacity, which it really kind of lent itself to, I think, a very logical and healthy transition at Accelerate, where over almost 3 years now have been able to celebrate the successes that our team has achieved, but recognizing that we needed some fresh, new leadership with a greater amount of expertise, subject matter expertise, and a passion and experience at doing this in a variety of different places, which is why I'm excited about Dr. Taylor taking the baton here in a few days to be the next executive director of Accelerate as I move on. So it is a season of transition, but it's a bittersweet one, but it is a good one.
Well, you had yesterday HR 61 with
Golden Corral gift certificate. No, look.
I gave him
nothing. That's what it was.
No, look. The reality is this: that the legislature has been such a huge supporter. They have really listened to what we have kind of devised in these last 3 years, and so really most of the credit for any success that we've had needs to be laid at the feet of the people that work at Accelerate, the leadership of the state of Mississippi, including the legislature, for having had the courage to take on the challenges that we have. So any commendation that I get, I probably owe them more than anything else.
Well, you could have gotten a swag bag with a couple of season tickets to the baseball season or something. But
no, not at all.
Accommodations come with just accommodations.
That's exactly right.
All right, let me ask Dr. Courtney Taylor exactly a little about you. I know you were. I want your thoughts on how we move forward and clean up the mess that Ryan's made.
Look, that's going to take years to dig ourselves out.
I'm only joking, of course.
So that's the beauty of it, is it's a really strong foundation. And as we move forward, it's just looking at all of the information that we've learned. It has taken some time to put all the parts and pieces together of, as Patrick would say, a disjointed workforce system. So we finally got all that. Look, the super hard stuff is we're through that, and he's leaving. And so, now he just gets to go do more super hard stuff. But, moving forward, it's really taking the knowledge that we've learned over the past few years and driving it forward into getting more people to work and using that and making sure that we are being considerate and thinking through.
I know it wasn't easy. We kind of glaze over that a little bit, Ryan. But where you started out at first, it's almost like one of these things where you want to make a certain cookie, and then the factory has to design a machine to do that. They know the needs, they know what the outcome is, but there are a million different parts to put that machine together to get that process done. And nobody envied that attempt to do that, because for so long, and we talked about it, we had a multiple different people from different areas, different universities, different agencies doing the same task, and nobody was doing it well. We weren't communicating. But a little bit about those early days when you first moved into the office to get this thing done.
Yeah, no, it was certainly daunting and overwhelming, probably one of the more challenging and complex blazing, because one of the things I recognized early on sitting in that chair is that there was a willingness for organizations, a great open willingness amongst our educational partners, other state agencies, our economic development partners, our workforce directors, and our planning development districts. There was an overwhelming desire. Look, we recognize we need to coordinate things better. We recognize that we have a finite amount of resource that's got to be deployed better. To your point about making a cookie, like we had a cookie in mind. We didn't even know if it was going to taste good, but we had to put in place a structure that was organized geographically and thematically, so that when we start in that production of that cookie, or we start in that production of resources and programs that develop people and put them into pathways that lead to better careers, that we know that there's a better chance of success because we have laid that predicate. So that was the end result, and believe in that vision. And I think that's what 3 years, it's taken so long. And I know so many people had expectations that it would go faster. And it's certainly in our name of Accelerate, we want to. But doing what we did in the time frame that we had, I think, was absolutely necessary to improve that coordinated effort, improve the cooperation amongst these entities, coordinating through a single lens. How do we spend these resources effectively for the people of Mississippi and maximize the return on investment? So we've gotten a lot done, but there's still so much left to be done.
Got to be just on a kind of a high from the beginning of the legislative session, understanding we had 2 special sessions and seeing how fast things are moving. And I know you guys knew what was going on behind the scenes and trying to put all this stuff together. But Courtney, speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, so the fun thing about this is it does accelerate kind of get refreshed and excited. And so as we walk through this, we're working to design the systems and things that we need on the back end, that once people do get excited about jobs, we can get them into the workforce. But to land in Amazon and to land, the electric vehicle battery plant up in North Mississippi, those are transformational for both of those regions and for the state long term. They're both kind of new sectors. So they're things that get us excited. And we hope get our citizens excited and help provide those kind of opportunities. If you're not looking to go to work in distribution, you can work in manufacturing now. If you're not looking to go to work in manufacturing, you can go to work in a data center or building a data center. That's a massive need. So a lot of really good opportunities coming for Mississippi over the next couple of years because of those announcements, and they'll breed more.
Yeah. What's the mandate as you leave, Ryan, and pass it over to Courtney?
I think there are 3 legs of the stool in our office. That the first 2 we focused on was really trying to deal with what we've referred to as triage efforts, those existing industries that needed help when we first came into existence, and focusing on how do we leverage our resources with our community college partners to get more people into those jobs as fast as possible to stop the bleeding. The other was the horizon thinking about how are we preparing the future workforce of the state of Mississippi. Now we're moving to a talent solution customizable training mechanism. I think that's the mandate moving forward, is how do we use additional resource from the legislature in a very customizable, fast deployed, almost like a SWAT team effort when an Amazon lands or an Accelera lands, that we can deploy those resources quickly. We got to get better there, and I think that's been one area.
To target that, yeah.
Sure.
I want to ask you about that, and also college coaches and how young should we start? And just a moment, Ryan Miller, Courtney Taylor. The only thing we'll say now is, Courtney, we'll need your CD by the next interview if you have.
She's a rapper, so she'll have some sick rhymes.
Music that we have here. Just voted in Wathall. I was number 8. Oh, well, as they say in Chicago, vote early and vote often. Philip. Tim in Oxford said, number 1 vote in my precinct. No one in line. Doesn't look good for the turnout, Tim in Oxford. And quite a few others. We knew it was going to be light, but geez, folks, if you have a chance, go vote. I do want to mention to Courtney, when I was reading up on some of the things that you said one of the many jobs in education and workforce development should be to ignite a student's ability to figure out where their passion is. And I agree with you wholeheartedly how we do that. And are we doing a good job on that? How early should we start? What's open to us to think out of the box and get in there and said, here are the options?
Yeah, so, for generations, so I think the answer to how early do we start is as early as possible. And it's not about driving them to work. It's about driving them to something that they can build a passion for, that they can find what's available in their community. I think kids are fairly ignorant of what's going on around them in their communities, and sometimes so are adults. So as early as feasible, we are focusing with our career coach program on the high school age, just because you have limited resources, so you have to get to the most you can with the most amount of resources, in high schools where we're at right now. But as far down as we can drive those career exploration opportunities, just engagement with your community is key and critical.
I think that's the number one thing parents and grandparents want. They want your kid to be successful, but they also want you to be happy in what you're doing. Indeed, in there as early as possible. I got to ask both of you, because I had the opportunity to do one or two of the remotes at Communiversity when they had the big day and they brought all these kids in. And I forgot the number of kids that come through there, Ryan, but it's a lot.
Well, I mean, it is, and that's an example.
8th graders, I believe.
It is, and just busload after busload, and that's an example of local industry who recognizes that they have to be part of the solution as well. So the educational entity, the community, but also industry being willing to take time off, bring their resources, bring their equipment, bring their know-how, and engage students in an earlier age. I'm going to let Courtney talk about that. She was the vice president of East Mississippi Community College.
That's
and
right.
Ran Communiversity.
That's right.
They did that.
Courtney, does anybody else do that in the state?
So we have that happening in pockets of the state. They do some in South Mississippi, North Mississippi. And everyone has to pull together. So everybody has to do their part. And if everybody's doing their part, you end up with a really awesome whole. So you get kids excited about it, show them. And it's not about whether or not, if we expose them to all the construction jobs, it's not necessarily about them going into construction. It's about them having some kind of flame lit, and then, maybe they want manufacturing or nursing, whatever. So I think there are some pockets of the state doing really big things like that, and it's valuable and important. And expensive and time consuming. And
yes, it is.
You can't do this cheap. And we tried as a nation to do workforce cheap and easy, and so now we're just going to have to try it expensive and difficult,
Well, on this particular one, if people don't know what we're talking about, you just had a collection of different manufacturers and businesses that all brought their whatever they could bring. And it's wonderful because And I think the teachers led this and kind of cultivated them before they got there. Look, ask questions, formulate your questions, ask questions. What does it pay? How long should I train? What are the opportunities, and do like that? And I found it amazing doing the interviews during that process.
Yeah, it's a pretty exciting time for them. I mean, they get to see the I think it was Columbus Power brings their Columbus Utilities brings their line worker set up, so they get to see a hot dog fried by a live power line. So, I mean, it's a good time for them, but it's a powerful time too, because it's not only about exposing them to the occupations. It's also about showing them what's in their community. Like, you can do all this right here. You don't have to leave.
So what is next as far as the companies that we've just
some additional resources as we move forward. But the big thing with both of those companies right now is getting them out of the ground. So, you know, the Amazon right here in the Jackson Metro, there's just going to be thousands of construction jobs, and these jobs are going to go for a long time. These are not 6 months, 1 year jobs. So really focusing on aligning our resources, working with our public and private partners to both figure out what training programs are there that we can invest in and develop new ones where we need to. And then also working with different people, different organizations to try to drive people into those occupations. But it's allowing us the opportunity to really drive out our talent solutions, customizable training section of our office division, I guess, because now we have some live projects to really sink our teeth into. So, and they're both very different. You know, for the Amazon project, Mississippi, we'll be doing a lot more direct training for them and working with our community college partner and our local economic developers to drive that stuff forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a daily drive and grind right now to get the resources pieced together the right way to support each of them, because they are very different projects.
Ryan, this one was so different because when we finally found out exactly what it was as far as Amazon's concerned, it's the first one that was a product more so than a service. They weren't making widgets; they were selling a service on here, and so that was kind of weird. Number one, we knew that the amount of employees were not going to be that large.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is, and I have to take your hats off to the economic developers, to Mississippi Development Authority, the local developers here in the Jackson metro area, who understand that a lot of new innovative careers and a lot of new innovative industries students differently for those opportunities, and that's where I think Accelerate is primely positioned and ready to be that partner with economic developers to, when those industries are coming, let us develop the plan with the industry to make sure you have the people when you need them with the skills that they need in perpetuity. And I think Amazon is going to be a great partner. That's a corporate partner who sees the benefit of investing in the community and wants to make that a part of their corporate model. And then when you've got local leadership that sees the benefit in that too, there's amazing things that are going to happen for the people of this area.
I think one of the things that I heard, Courtney, when people ask, why in the world Mississippi on either of these, the statement was something like, well, they just made it too attractive. We just couldn't turn them down. And I like that competitiveness. I went on the Secretary of State's website for something else. You start looking at this. Mississippi, #1 small business growth in the United States of America. U.S. Chamber of Commerce and Amazon study. #1. #1 new business formation since January 2020 by Card Connect 2021. #1 in agriculture. #1 most affordable state to live in. CNBC, top states doing business in 2021. Those are three. This is 4 pages long. And those are the things that we need to impart upon the kids in this state, that we got a lot of good things going on.
We have a lot of great things going on, and I will say this: the resiliency of the people of the state of Mississippi, as well as their entrepreneurial spirit has always been palpable. It's always been strong. We need to invest more in that so that more Mississippians see the opportunity to create something with their own hands that's homegrown and that tends to be an attraction for
Stay in touch.
I will certainly do that. It's been a pleasure.
Courtney, please, you'll be getting a call every once in a while to come in and give us updates. I hope you do that.
We'd love to.
And you don't have to have the CD. It's okay.
Yes,
Okay,
she does. Don't let her off the hook, Paul.
I'll bring my horse in here.